Ever feel like you're stuck in a loop when trying to quit smoking? That's because change is a cycle and not a straight line. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the cycle of change and how you can use it to help break free from smoking for good. In the stages of change model, there are five distinct stages that a person has to move through in order to have a change actually stick. So the first stage is the pre-thinking stage. Then it comes the thinking stage, the preparation stage, the action stage, and the maintenance stage. These are the five different stages that a person has to move through. Now, in the pre-thinking stage, the person is in a form of denial about the impacts of the behavior that they're trying to change, or at some point would want to change, including smoking. So you see people in the pre-thinking stage of smoking really be in denial that the behavior is going to do any sort of harm to them. In the thinking stage, they are starting to become more aware of the impacts of the problem, but they're unsure about what to do with it, right? They're starting to think about changing the behavior, but then there's still a part of them that is wanting to continue the behavior. And then they start to move into the preparation stage. In the preparation stage, they're actually starting to set goals and create intentions to finally stop that pattern of behavior. They move into the action stage where they start acting on the goals and really start making changes towards quitting smoking in this case. After the action stage, they enter the maintenance stage where they finally quit smoking and they are in a stage where they can now maintain the new patterns of behavior. Now, as I mentioned previously, people move through these different stages. However, sometimes it's happens where people will move into the action stage and then maybe they slip up and they move back into preparation, or they start to prepare to make the changes, but then they might slip back into more of a thinking phase. This is normal because change is not a straight line. Relapses happen in the process. It's the way that you think about relapses that really matter, right? Relapses are more of a blip. They're a slip up as opposed to an all or nothing situation. A single cigarette does not make somebody a smoker, right? So even when somebody moves into, action and they move into maintenance, it's if they have a cigarette, it doesn't mean that they're a complete smoker. It's a lot easier to go back into the maintenance stage. It's how we think about these slip ups that really matter. One cigarette never makes somebody a smoker in the same way that, somebody's on a strict diet and they have a piece of cake. That doesn't mean that they've ruined the entire progress they've made during that diet, right? That would be completely ridiculous to think in such black and white terms. It's not how reality works. In the same way, all the progress you've made being a non-smoker, if you have a cigarette, it doesn't mean that you are completely, you should go all the way back to smoking a pack a day. That would be completely ridiculous, right? So the way that we think about relapses is very important in making sure that we are continuing to move in the direction that we want to. Now, if you're in the thinking stage or even in the preparation stage, there are a few questions to really help you keep moving so that you progress towards and into the action phase. So some of these questions would be asking yourself, why am I motivated to quit smoking? What do I get out of quitting smoking? What would it do for you to quit smoking, right? Now, it's easy to assume that health is a reason, and for some people, it definitely will be a reason. However, for other people, it could be strictly financial reasons, and it doesn't really matter what the reason is for you. Just ask yourself, why do you want to quit smoking? What will you get out of quitting smoking? And really ask yourself and think about it through. And, another way of asking this question is, how will your life improve after you've quit? And write down in vivid detail what you would get from quitting smoking. Another aspect of this finding your motivation is to, once you've identified a strong why to quitting smoking, you can start to visualize yourself in the future. So you can see yourself, with this benefits, with all of the benefits to quitting smoking, whether it be, health, being a better parent, being a better role model, um, being more physically fit, having a lot more money saved up. Really notice yourself in your mind, visualize yourself with all of these benefits. The more vividly you visualize yourself, the better. So, wherever you are in the stages of change model, whether you're in all the way from pre-thinking to maintenance, there are certain things you can do to help you if you would like to quit smoking. So, if you're in the pre-thinking stage and you really don't even care about quitting smoking, well, I'm surprised that you're watching this video. But if you are one of these people, then ask yourself, what are the consequences of smoking? Just start to think about the consequences that could be the consequences of quitting smoking, and everybody knows what these are, so it's not going to be new to anybody, right? Everybody's seen the commercials, everybody has heard about the science. Now, even if you think that's never going to happen to you, just think about what the potential consequences of quitting smoking could be, right? Now, if you are in the thinking stage, right, so you're starting to think about quitting smoking, but you have maybe one foot out the door and one foot in. That's fine. Just I want you to list the pros and cons of quitting smoking, right? What are the pros of quitting smoking and what are the cons, right? On the pros side, you might say more energy, and on the con side, you might say, um, I wouldn't know, breaks would be hard to handle, whatever it might be. Just go ahead and list the pros and cons and you can even start to add like weigh the different scores, right? So maybe better energy might on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say that would be like a +8, or and the on the con side, let's say brakes would be hard to handle. That would be like a -6, right? So you can start to weigh them, based off how important they are to you. So 0 to 10 on on the pros, right? 0 to +10, and then 0 to -10 on the negatives. That way, it's not just an empty pros and cons list, which is just a bunch of different things. Now you have different scores for each one, right? So you can have a much more measurable pros and cons list. Now, if you're in the preparation stage, you can set a quit date and start to tell your family and friends, right? Start to gather support from your family and friends because now you're starting to prepare for the actual quit process. Okay. So set a quit date, and you can start to make plans around that, right? Prepare for high risk situations, breaks, if that's a trigger, start to prepare for what those might be, and you start to get support from your family and friends because that would be very beneficial for you in your quit journey. Now, if you are in the action stage, you can, use small, consistent actions to create, start to make these lasting habits. So start to use different coping skills for relaxation, right? So you're starting to actually implement your new habits, right? So use breathing techniques to calm down instead of reaching for a cigarette. Take breaks in different locations, um, you know, drink your morning coffee somewhere else or use a different mug. Do these different things that can start to interrupt those patterns because now you're in the action phase. Okay. And if you're in the maintenance phase, then, reward progress, right? So find out when your 1 month free from smoking is and reward that, right? Do something special for yourself because that is a milestone and that requires some level of reward and positivity, right? If you're coming on 6 months or a year, then you could do something even bigger for that, right? So start to use rewards as a way to continue along your maintenance journey. So those are different tips for everybody that are in different stages of change. Wherever you are, there's something that you can do, and really start to do this today. Breaking free from smoking starts with understanding where you are in this model. Where are you in the stages of change model? So really think about that, reflect on it, drop in the comments below where you are and what you can start to do today to help move yourself along the way to the next stage of change. So go ahead and hit subscribe if this is useful content for you. I'll be releasing videos every single day. At least I'm going to do my best to release content every single day, longer form content. I'm sure those of you that have seen my channel have already seen some of the shorter videos. But I'm going to start releasing longer form content on this channel as well every single day. That's my goal. And I will see you next time.